Hi, I'm Yan Lyutnov, a physicalist. I'm tired of everyone being so indifferent to the issue of modeling the world through particles. Therefore, in this video I will convince you. I specifically chose a supporter of the fact that Einstein's theory is not true about spacetime. And what are the disadvantages? I propose the incipient change of the scientific paradigm to absolute physicalism. Today, we will listen to what Sabrina Hesseln-Fender has to say with almost 2 million subscribers. In this 5-minute video, she talks about her best arguments, about where Einstein's theory of relativity from her point of view is screwed up, and why from her point of view, it is necessary to add some new approach.
Today, I want to explain why we believe that Einstein's ideas about gravity cannot be correct. Einstein believed that gravity is not a force, but a consequence of the curvature of space and time.
As I understand it, she wants to introduce some kind of quantum gravity to replace it. Quanta are often called particles, which I am happy to paraphrase as gravity via particles. That's exactly what I'm suggesting. But it's not a fact that she is. In this video, I am such a favorite argument, which is often written to me in the public in the style of, but our favorite quantum theory has been confirmed by a bunch of experiments. The computers are working, so it's true. And there is nothing better. Let's see where she's screwing up. And I remind you that if it does not predict somewhere, then it is in this section that it is not true. And if the best theory in this area is not correct, then it is advantageous for us to find a replacement for immortality. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do.
Matter bends spacetime around itself.
Einstein could have been misunderstood, because it's pretty rebus that gravity is a curvature of space. What is this all about? Even if you watch Semikotov's film about gravity, which I reviewed, it will not become clearer. But if you want to know the answer, and don't want to break your brain with stupid abstraction puzzles, I have a solution. Destroy stupid abstractions if you don't know what kind of matter they point to. Time is obviously not matter. We throw it out. There remains a curvature of space. Do you know how curved space differs from non-curved space? At the level of the fact that there were 5 particles here and 4 here. Spoiler, no, you don't know shit. You know. And I suggest, if you do not know, and I do not know, do not calm down on this, be dissatisfied with incomprehensible, vague crap. And if you are solving the problem of figuring out what it is about, look at matter in your model, think about particles. And using the hint that people, when they don't know about matter, inevitably mask this ignorance behind abstract puzzles. As a consequence, in the form of a bunch of abstract puzzles, we can make the assumption often true that they don't know a better explanation. This is their default action.
And this curvature, in turn, affects the movement of matter. Thus, according to Einstein, space and time react to the impact. They are deformed under the influence of matter, and not only matter, but also all types of energy, including pressure, momentum flow, and so on.
Yeah, now we also know that matter and space in this case are different categories. That is, if it were the same thing, then the phrase would sound like matter bends matter around itself. That's all right. But for some reason, a new term was needed, which hints that these are different things, as the author thinks. That is, it is matter with some additives, but it is unclear what kind. I believe that almost no one, if we ask the question, what is the difference between space and matter, will be able to give a quick, clear answer. Because this is another rebus, behind which they like to hide ignorance so much.
They are deformed under the influence of matter, and not only matter, but also all types of energy, including pressure, momentum flow, and so on.
Note that it differentiates matter and energy with momentum, which are abstractions in the form of a number. Very funny. No wonder physics was going so slowly. And wireless communication appeared when the Tesla etherist began to model electricity as particles. And before that, no one, like Tesla, has coped with this task. It makes us think. Why don't we immediately model everything through matter alone, remove the freaking energy as an intermediary, in the form of a number? And everything is simple. There is no translator like Yan Lyutnov anymore, a radical materialist purist who would compass everyone's brains with these associations. Even if there is, everyone laughs at him, and no one gives a lab. Because everyone wants to die so much. Not even earning $1 million is a challenge. And to find a cello lab alone in the world, or like give 30,000 a month with an ironic chance of immortality. Now, this woman, all these circumstances, calmly accepts, she does not reject them, as I do. That is, she accordingly did not go the way I am going. In other words, she will be content with old associations, and they will lead her away in the direction of puzzles. But they could lead her in the other direction, because she has connections in her head, these vessels already so. They are built up that she will use them, and I do not use them, which will lead me to discoveries. Therefore, I will not calm down, where someone said energy or space, did not understand anything and went.
Einstein called his theory the general theory of relativity because it is a generalization of the special theory of relativity. Both theories are based on the principle of independence from the frame of reference, that is, on the idea that the laws of nature should not depend on the motion of the observer.
The laws of nature should not act depending on the observer. Since I look at the world through particles, for me this phrase sounds like, some particles in the medium will move in the same way if the observer looked at them, and did not look at them in a parallel hypothetical universe. And I generally agree with this generalization. But where would this not work in a particular case, when surveillance is usually meant either by an animal's eye or a camera? Observation. What kind of particles are these? This is when an animal sucks a certain amount of small particles of light into itself through its eye. And the camera sucks in small particles into the matrix of the camera. The process is not so different. That is, notice, there is a very small amount of particles being sucked in. And if we are talking about large macro objects, then indeed the observer's sucking of these small particles into himself has some fantastic microscopic effect. This will only affect if the eye suction can somehow affect something at the micro level. Especially if a person saw something in the room where these computer nanoplates are being printed. There should be super clean conditions there. He saw something, got scared, and started sucking more particles into himself with his mouth. Which, as it were, cools the air a little in some zone at the micro level and heats it in another body. This may already have an impact, but these cases are rare, they can be neglected.
The difference between general and special relativity is that in the special relativity theory, space-time is flat like a sheet of paper, and in general relativity, it can be curved as often as the mentioned rubber sheet.
This is a terrible brain-bending rebus that I want to skip. Moreover, if he allowed such an absurd fantasy as an electron, and even if theory could do without an electron, what else is flat space and curved space? Can you distinguish at the particle level flat from curved without preparation? Oh, and do you think others will distinguish if you show them? And use a soldering iron? Oh, no, 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 I don't think so. People love their abstractions so much that they mostly satisfy them. And there is no way to cope with the task of transferring them to matter, to particles, because they simply do not think about matter. Words from the past are intertwined in their brains, they mix them, drive particles there, get a buzz. And since the high is coming, we don't need to throw our favorite abstraction out of our heads for a friend. Goals, for example, for immortality. Therefore, I urge everyone to throw out the freaking flat and non-planar spacetime bullshit. Until you understand what kind of particles they are, immediately remove the intermediary and replace it with particles. Enough already. Soon to die. This abstraction is not worth it. We can still save ourselves by replacing the transition directly to the particles.
General relativity is a theory that has passed many tests. For example, it predicts that light rays are deflected when passing by massive objects.
I can take the calculations from this theory if I am sufficiently stuck in matter. I'll fix it up bit by bit. I will remove the spacetime curved. And I will say that the light is deflected near massive objects. Not because, damn it, an incomprehensible stupid abstraction is bent, it's unclear what. But because, damn, more obstacle particles are flying from massive objects. As a result, light, which is particles flying into a massive object, is deflected more strongly. because it collides with a large number of particles of obstacles that people could have missed from the model. And if the object is not massive, then, of course, fewer particles fly away from it. Because a massive body shields particles from all sides, which fly into it more strongly. Particles fly away from it more strongly and push your light away more. There is no need for any space, damn time. The shame of humanity. Why do I need to say the obvious things in the 21st century?
Such as the sun, which we observed. This same effect leads to gravitational lensing, which we also observed.
Here I looked at the NASA website for the request of gravitational lensing. This is a photo in terrible quality. Kind of like the best available. What's the problem with modeling this? Like flying particles from somewhere, like a light bulb. It's just a light, not even some kind of halo. Then here's a photo from Artemis's recent flight. We see that there is a glow in the lower right corner, although supposedly there are no particles in outer space to be reflected. Then that's what it is. That's what this white dust is. It glows and is reflected into the camera. Once reflected, it means the pixel was illuminated. The pixel is illuminated, which means that more particles have landed on it. Real particles flew per pixel. The pixel sucked in these particles. And they came from Earth. And this means that the particles are not just reflected into the camera. They were also reflected according to the lighting. That is, there are plenty of particles to reflect. Not to mention the fact that stars in the form of dots, if you zoom in, also give such white outlines. Which means that light is reflected even where matter is not predicted. In absolute physicalism, I remind you that so far it is assumed that people have made a mistake in the thesis that there are no particles in the interplanetary vacuum, and there is no matter at all. I think there are a lot of them, they are just very small.
In addition, general relativity predicts that the universe should expand, and it really is.
About whether this is true or not, I'm not sure. I don't quite understand what it means to expand here. If the type of particles fly further into the space where they did not exist before, then they probably fly away. But how to check such a prediction? It's unclear. It does not seem practical for our tasks for immortality.
It predicts that time flows slower in gravitational fields.
But I already consider this nonsense, like any thesis about time dilation. I remind you that, first of all, time is a number, it is an abstraction. People sometimes think that time is not an abstraction. They have their own associations there. But how do we check whether it's an abstraction or not? We look to see if there are such particles. And if the answer is there are no such particles, then this is a fig abstraction. What kind of particles is time? That's it, we found out. I'm not interested in this. I only look at particles, and time is not particles, it is a tool to talk about particles. And as I believe, the thesis about time was just a confusion of people. Favorite abstractions. If their instruments, under some conditions, show one time at one point, another at other points. People think that the same amount of time has passed, this is their problem. I remind you that time is measured by the arrival of particles on all sorts of boards, which suck in particles on their own. Trap areas. And the number of your time will depend on how many particles flew into this trap. And there is not the same number of particles arriving. And what can we say in different parts of the Earth, the universe, at different pressures, temperatures? The number of particles arrives. Flying to this site is different. And so your time will depend on the temperature. How so? How does time depend on temperature? Yeah, because they're freaking particles. More precisely, you are pointing to particles. Accordingly, your number may also differ. And to understand, why is it different? It is possible not to introduce another million stupid puzzles so that humanity gets confused in the edge and goes to look at TikTok with hot. And you just need to understand better through physicalism how particles fly. And you won't need it all. Throw your time dilation in the trash. And then it may appear. This is finally the motivation to model it through particles, damn it.
And it really is.
And it really isn't. The author is not a physicalist. But in this video, I expect to find out what she has to say. Why some calculations do not come true. I'm starting to think she won't tell. After all, we are allies in attacking Einstein for the sake of immortality.
And, quote, she also predicts the existence of gravitational waves, which we have also observed, and the list goes on.
Gravitational waves are the influx of particles on the site, which people model as particles. Model it through particles, and you won't need it all. We waste so much time for stupid puzzles. How people don't want to think through matter.
So there is no doubt that general relativity works very well.
I don't just have no doubts. I'm throwing her the fuck out. All working calculations need to be transferred to the language of particles and remove the nonsense about curved space and time. My God. And that's when we'll live.
But we already know that ultimately it cannot be the only true theory of space.
Well, finally. Because absolute physicalism will be the only true theory. Subscribe to the channel and help me. Nobody cares, nobody wants to find fucking lead gloves. When I ask the whole world for this, we are doomed.
It's an approximation that works for you in many cases, but not in all. We know this because general relativity does not agree with another theory that has been confirmed experimentally and works very well by quantum mechanics.
I remind you that I can also take ready-made calculations from confirmed experiments and invent all sorts of entities that no one can properly check. And I will adjust them to the calculations. If there is no competing system explaining all these phenomena, supported by calculations, as we know, we do not have enough competing systems. What we gave, we take. Where there is no way to check small entities, there you can start inventing and leave the fiction inside. Exactly the same situation as with the gods and all the other previously unsatisfied, and the ether, which was allegedly destroyed. Now he has undergone reincarnation in the form of particles. But the particles do exist. It doesn't matter what you think about them. When you didn't know at the particle level what was going on, but you had some calculations, and you interpreted them with the gods. Back in ancient Greece, remember. And since there was no competitor who would explain more and better, naturally there was garbage that explained. And people are very insensitive to where a fictional entity is and where it is not. But you know the universal antidote for this. More precisely, well, let me tell you. This is not to calm down until you know what kind of matter we are talking about. This is such a surprise. And as soon as there's a non-matter in the reasoning, called some incomprehensible abstraction, so as not to die like everyone else is lying in the ground now, our scientists worked out, damn it. It's time, maybe, to change the track. Everything is already there. It's time to just start thinking through you-know-what. It's time to say goodbye to any abstractions from the textbook that you blindly devoured, and throw out everything that does not point to matter. And then we have a chance. And quantum mechanics also invented all sorts of entities. What a surprise has never been like this. Where verification is difficult. What will stop people from starting to invent? Nothing. And how to understand where is nonsense and where is not? Easy. We take any abstraction from quantum mechanics that is not linked to matter, declare it a lie and throw it out. At the same time, keeping in mind that they could name the particles to her and even the calculations coincide. But they only match. Because they accidentally linked it with particles, but they don't call it particles. But all the same, in order to improve the model, you throw out old puzzles, replace it with matter, and do not calm down.
This is one of those problems that is easy to explain, but extremely difficult to solve. This is what happens if you try to combine gravity and quantum mechanics. Experimentally, we know that particles have some strange quantum properties. They obey the uncertainty principle and can, for example, be in two places at the same time.
Absolute idiocy. I'm really mad to hear that. I want to close the vetoes, but I was pushed to it. It is immediately clear that a particle cannot be in two places at the same time. Just like your water bottle on the table can't be in two places at the same time. And if it can, well, prove it, ha ha ha, you've already lived long enough to understand that the world doesn't work like that. That the bottle doesn't split in two places at the same time, no matter is in two places at the same time. And if it's in two places at the same time, then someone started inventing. And people, damn it, when they invented the electron, they have to come up with idiotic explanations for wear and tear, so that all this magical crap doesn't fall apart. So they came up with a full hat in the form of a bifurcation of matter. Because if you explain light to electrons, and there is no electron, you have to invent shit. Bam bam bam. That's it. Maybe that's enough already.
For example,
Например,
an electron
проходит
passes
через
through a
двойную
double
щель.
slit.
There is no electron because its properties are unrealistic. Throw out the electron and start digging at the level of particles that are not eternal freaking engines. As long as you love the electron, you have no motivation to look for a replacement for it. So, don't love the electron, kill it, cancel it on Twitter. And if you call an electron something that is not matter, then see the comments earlier.
Quantum mechanics tells
Квантовая
us
механика
that a
говорит
particle
нам, что
passes
частица
through
проходит
both
через обе
slits
щели одновременно.
simultaneously.
No, damn, they don't pass at the same time. The bounces of particles from these walls were simply incorrectly modeled. You don't need a dumb electron for that. Maybe, even I suppose, some ethers like Tesla have already explained it around the same time. It's just that these books are forgotten, and I haven't found or read them yet. But even if not, other experiments about your interference have shown you that light can also push objects like a particle. The only explanation for why they had to come up with a shit with a split electron, my god. This is because Jan Lyutnov has not yet made a replacement, because he was not given a lab and funding. And the core. Because, damn, the whole of humanity depends on whether I make a replacement. Because everyone wants to smear themselves with their favorite stupid puzzles, like in ancient Greece, like in any country, where there is veronstvo, not linked with matter, and inventing, damn, a cup of tea in two places at the same time. As if we were in a Marvel movie. Particles flow in a constant stream through two slits. There are more of them than people model. They collide with other small particles. Then these particles constantly go further and further away, by the square of the distance, leaving. And the spots are formed from these dark, shadowy spots. That the particles are collected unevenly by their shocks. They can be modeled with your favorite waves. You simply replace the waves with waves of mechanical particles. You don't need a freaking dualism. There's not much left to just ban freaking magic. Put the squeeze on the interference through the particles, and everything will come together. You don't even have to dig a lot. You just need to understand. Just pushing particles into the void. Here's interference for you. Adjust to the result. Don't make it up, God.
But electrons have
электронов есть
mass,
масса,
and
массы
masses
создают
create
гравитационное
gravitational
притяжение.
attraction.
Mass is simply a number linked to the number of small particles inside a large particle. Has it ever occurred to you physicists, damn it, that your attraction from the masses, or rather from bodies with many particles inside, occurs because the bodies shield the flow of particles flying into them from the outside? Straight through the forest. Everything is exactly as it is. I can't use it, but I will use it too, because it seems that I don't have 2 million subscribers. You just need to put the squeeze on this model, and everything will come together. Those particles that could evenly cover both bodies from both sides, the body sucks in part of the particles. As a result, a little less particles are formed between them, and the shocks of external particles attract bodies to each other. Or rather, push them. But it's the same thing, it doesn't matter. This, apparently, is the forgotten knowledge of the ancestors, which was in the textbook with rebuses. Then it will stay for the rest of your life. Trindits. By the way, you know that a similar system with particle repulsion is used by flat earthers. Although, despite the fact that they also believe in shit, here they guessed right. Amazing, isn't it? And you still believe in the electron. A lot of people think about this shielding, and that gravity is from shielding by body particles. No. Because everyone forgot about it. Because this model was abandoned, not put the squeeze on. There are contradictions, but there are not, because the explanation is not ready. And if the explanation was ready, there would be no contradictions. And again, I have to do everything. That's why I'm alone. To save science to me Trindits. Because Einstein came up with nonsense with rebuses to patch up the holes. Yes, he took the experiments, and then, to explain the results of the experiments, he came up with what came up. He could not guess to the obvious, that there is gravity through particles and interference. He couldn't explain, except by doing magic with electrons. Yes, damn, explain with particles, and it didn't take like that. That's the whole life, you just had to not invent shit with electrons. And maybe this whole video wouldn't have happened. I wish this video didn't exist. Oh my God. We're all going to die in the end. Because they are not physicalists. Associations have been created. We drive the particles to death, even if it's complete crap.
Bending space-time, the question arises, to what place will gravitational attraction be applied if an electron passes through both slits at the same time?
Good question, yes. I have an answer. There is no electron. Attraction is the movement of particles into the void. Here, of course, we replace the fictional essence of the electron with just heat flows. Small particles that go through one slit and through the other slit. Some of the particles collide with each other and fly away. It does not say the gravitational attraction of what and to what. Gravity is simply the process of particles moving in jerks. Finish the model steel. And you won't need it all. We don't have much time. And having calibrated to the world, it is already clear that I, too, will die in groundless attempts to convince at least someone to act. And I remind you that to act means to explain all phenomena faster through particles. And for this it is necessary to acquire an artificial allergy to stupid abstractions that are not reduced to matter.
It can be assumed that the gravitational attraction will also be applied to two places at the same time.
You have a false thesis about two places, particles and an electron, at the same time. And you draw a false conclusion from it. Your premise is wrong. Just forget it. Read, damn, my article, for example, as an alternative. I am a follower of Lessig and Tesla in the 21st century.
But this is not possible in general relativity because it is not a quantum theory.
Ah, that's it, it's not a quantum theory. She believes in quantum theory and the bifurcation of objects and the curvature of space, whatever that means. Because I couldn't explain the interference phenomenon. Because I didn't even consider the particle hypothesis. Because it was said by someone. Well, then, we believe. Exactly. And they give us magic to replace it. No, well, if they said textbooks, then. Well, it's Einstein. Of course, Einstein, aka the time warp. And all you had to do was think about quantum theory, like the flights of a particle, refine it, through shocks. She didn't even try, she just took what they give, nonsense about the electron. And now Einstein is also her enemy, because she anchored herself to the bifurcation of the electron, believing in it and prioritizing it, just as I prioritized particles. And I turned out to be Einstein for almost the same reasons. That is, she believes in the bifurcation of the electron. I believe that the electron does not exist. Einstein is our common enemy. Guess, intuitively, who will win in the end. Even if I die in the future, do you think it will be proved that the electron is in two places at the same time, as in the movie Mark? Or, after all, the explanation will be in the style of this, damn, freaking particles are flying. And people are smeared with abstractions, they died from smearing, and everything was so simple. They were just particles, they modeled poorly, because they stuttered a lot on the idols of Einstein's, etc. Amateurs. Rebuses? I'm betting that there will be a second option. And everyone will laugh at the shame in the future, they will devalue it in 5 minutes. Where I gave my life to make everyone laugh at me. And we know what happens to us with scientists over whom they laugh. And then something absolutely gives a fuck to everyone there, when everyone goes to TikTok. What kind of scientists? No one will read Tesla now. That's how now we laugh at the Greek gods, and someone put his life on the content about the gods. How do I put my life on content where there will be 2 likes and useless comments that I will rub because they are disgusting? Only instead of gods, Electron and his friends are now.
To solve this problem, we need to understand the quantum properties of gravity.
You don't need to understand the quantum properties of gravity. You need to throw them out. Through the particles you need to model, Lord. What have you spent all these years on, author? Turn around, turn to physicalism. I'm talking directly to you. I will definitely send you this video. Okay, there's no saving you. But you, the viewer, I need only one person who will give me a place with appliances. And I'll do it the fuck. There wasn't even one. Soon a year will pass when I did not receive the device. And he's going to be in the coffin soon. Oh, it's time for the grave soon. People are so eager to die when they have a chance right here. When someone offers a solution that didn't exist before. And it is necessary. And he asks them very little. Ah, okay. God, you're hopeless. I'm gonna fucking die. Do you really want to die with your favorite abstractions?
We need a so-called theory of quantum gravity.
No, we need a theory describing everything through particles. But you know, if you give me a lab, I'll use your favorite labels. I'll call the particles quanta, just not to die. You've gone far with your quanta. The magic in them is Hogwarts. It exists now. And now what? We die anyway. There are films about aliens being released. Let's imagine that aliens exist. By the way, I'm ready to believe it. Judging by the video, even they have made anti-gravity cool flying machines that cancel inertia there. And all because, damn it, they didn't think to believe in the electron. Let's take a look. And because there was no Einstein and his authority in childhood. Of course, what a horror. There was no Einstein, they invented these super-flying saucers. Nice. Let's finally see if there are any more things in this video about the fact that the Einstein model does not predict something. Or quanta do not predict. I generally thought that everything will be calm in this videos. According to my pitch, that I won't get mad. I just feel that time is running out, but there is no result. So I freaked out. So far, in videos, she has only said that Einstein's theory is not true. Because it does not converge with the miracle electron. To explain the interference. Nice. Because I procrastinated to think through particles and took a ready-made nonsense.
In addition to the problem of passing through two slits, there is the problem of singularity and general relativity. General theory of relativity. Singularities are places where the curvature and energy density of matter become infinitely large. At least that's what general relativity predicts.
And as interesting as it is to check, the prediction is amazing at the particle level. Oh yes, it probably doesn't even operate with them. It will even operate with fictional entities so that you can substitute God knows what there and say this is it. Black holes can also be a fiction based on how indirectly it was all done. And the fact that people could not take into account the particles of the interplanetary in this space, and based on the fact that gravity is described by garbage instead of particles. That's probably what this is about.
This happens, for example, inside black holes.
Oh, of course, black holes. She doesn't even doubt for a second that she can. Maybe a hat, as a consequence of the model described.
And at the beginning of the existence of the universe. In any other theory known to us, a singularity is a sign that the theory does not work.
I don't understand the singularity very well, but for me the explanation is simple. If something doesn't converge and doesn't work somewhere, blame the electron and all the magic irreducible to particles and their mechanical shocks by flying into the void as false. Does the theory boil down to this? No, it doesn't. Throw it away.
It needs to be replaced with a more fundamental theory.
It seems I have such a fundamental theory to put straight. And all I need is a freaking apartment with appliances. Hurry up.
We believe that the same thing should happen with the general theory of relativity, which should be replaced by the quantum theory of gravity.
No way. While the intelligence of people from TikTok has not died at all, so that no one can model something through particles, we need to use this last chance to create a cell of absolute physicalism, which has sworn off with joint efforts. Only through particles, and explain all phenomena through them. Leave the quanta to lovers of abstractions. Those who don't want to die, follow me.
The third reason we think gravity needs to be quantized is the problem of information loss in black holes.
Even if there are some dark areas that have been mistaken for black holes, or there is something coincidental there. Through absolute physicalism, this means, more precisely, it can mean a lot of things. That there is an object or a body that is being intensively flown into. Particles. For example, particles are flying intensely into your pupil, or into a vacuum cleaner, or into a cold planet, or as in interference. These dark stripes are not illuminated. This is because it so happens that the nearest bodies push the particles apart so that empty gaps are formed. And your black holes, these are like spots of darkness in the interference pattern, maybe. But not at all what they could invent based on an electron, because the particles repel.
If we combine quantum theory with general relativity, but do not quantize gravity, then we will find that black holes are slowly contracting, emitting radiation.
I'm not ready to talk about black holes yet. Taking into account the pictures that I saw, and the knowledge that the model explaining gravity is compromised by rebuses. Why would I believe that?
Now it seems that black holes can completely disappear by emitting radiation.
That is, if there is radiation coming from black holes, then particles are flying from there, which means that the center of the black hole emits particles. So it's not empty. And since the particles are flying out of it, it means something is pushing out. Some neighboring planets or stars. And much at the same time. But for my task of immortality, this all matters only if it somehow helps to prove the model of gravity through tremors. But judging by the pictures it's based on, I'm not sure that's enough. For this task, it is better for us to study what is closer on Earth, and leave these theorizing to those who like to have fun, and then die.
The problem is that the radiation itself is absolutely chaotic and does not carry any information other than temperature. So when a black hole disappears completely and only radiation remains, we don't know what gave it birth.
Well, if nothing is clear, then forget it. Maybe if the model with particles is completed, then everything will be extrapolated, and there will be no need to think at all. Everything will become clear.
Such a process is fundamentally irreversible and, therefore, incompatible with quantum theory. They just don't agree with each other.
Well, that's great. The two leaky magic theories do not agree. An extra reason for you to get rid of them, or take useful pieces from them, and interpret them through particles. Somebody, I don't hear any takers. Read my articles. Then you'll want to.
Many physicists believe that a theory of quantum gravity is needed to solve this problem. That's why we know that the general theory of relativity needs to be replaced by the theory of quantum gravity.
Here she says she believes in the curvature of space, the curvature of time, and an electron in two places at the same time. But I don't believe it, and I say that it should be replaced with absolute physicalism. Choose a side.
This problem has been known about since the 1930s. Since then, many attempts have been made to solve it.
I told you how to decide. It will remain to act. There is a plan. The direction is clear. I have already written enough starting articles so that only after reading them, it was possible to fully understand how to read. And think about what, so that the solution was as fast as possible. And we will make it in a few years. Yes, in just a few years. If we don't smear ourselves with stupid abstractions, we will find funding, and I will find a lab. This is where the video ends. Subscribe to the public. Read the articles. Even if you don't like my thesis, I provide an alternative. And if you want immortality, you support me. Because all competitors failed. And you're already desperate. Support with very cheap tests. An ally. The only alternative, and from the entire information field, for these associations through particles. There is no substitute for me. Lessig died. Tesla died. The ethers are smeared with rebuses and verunstvo. Ordinary virons also like to smear themselves with abstractions with immaterial. No flatlanders, no hope of immortality. Physicalism does not yet have a sponsor. There is no normal ally, and there is no dynamics that something will appear. I'm desperate. Sometimes it seems to me that the world does not contain a single ideological ally. What is it? Damn, really? And I don't have a place with appliances. The world is disgusting enough for me to die without a home with appliances. Evaluate the hopelessness of this venture in the world of total loyalty, in the world of total smearing with abstractions. And all because, you see, these are our favorite associations for particles in the head. We'll die for our loved ones. A favorite association from the past, just not to think about particles. And I have to, in order to at least slightly increase the influx of particles into your heads, make this pitch, which hits my reputation. And what to do? Otherwise, I believe it will get even worse, even more indifferent. So at least there is hope for a riposte. Because otherwise, it would all have scored 10 views. Appreciate all the hopelessness, and be the only one who will push the universe so that the tool of thinking, absolute physicalism, will advance us to immortality. I plan to find one person. There is no hope for the masses. How indifferent you are. Yes, we're all going to die. And it's your fault. It's not my fault, because I tried to push this way better than the others. I tried to destroy the electron, which slows everything down. Have you tried? No, you didn't try. I gave the instruments to the lab. No, he didn't. And I'm only getting more cynical every day. The task becomes more complicated. I am not eternal. We have some years left while I'm alive. And maybe something will happen. Bye, everyone.